Hello and welcome to episode 20
The big 2-0.
The big 2-0 of the Heroes Journal podcast. My name's Kyle,
I'm Nick.
and we are the hosts, I guess.
We're the hosts and the co-founders of the
Yeah,
Heroes
look at
Journal.
that. That seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't find anyone else, so
Yeah.
we had to step in. And
It's true. I'm jokingly calling this season 2, but I guess that's not the official name. But for those of you out there who are in the know, we can refer to this as season 2. And you know, as we move on, I want to hear, is season 2 better than season 1?
I hope so.
Yeah, are we?
Maybe in season 3, we could upgrade our aesthetic a little bit.
Yeah, I think we need to get a new table. I
we
don't know
could
if the
get
long table.
Doesn't really, I don't think it's very flattering.
Yeah, we should get a drone that just flies around.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Super loud. We have to yell over it.
Yeah. Hey, well, no, we still have our mics.
Oh, okay.
It just, instead of having one static view of us, it's
right.
like
It's actually not a terrible idea.
an outside drone shot podcast. It'd be kind of fun.
Probably 2 cameras is probably the upgraded version.
Yeah,
So
probably.
they could be like kind of
Yeah.
at each other. Who knows? We
You
have,
know,
like,
it's going to be interesting. I think that it's going to take us probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 more episodes to really figure out what the overall tone of the podcast is. I think that right now we're just talking about the business and we're being open and transparent, which I think is probably the best thing for us right now.
Yeah.
But I saw a tweet. It was like, you can't have your 100th episode until every first episode. You know, it's really like classic cliche kind of thing.
Classic.
But it's true, right? You can't really figure out who you are until you try it out a little bit. So
Yeah, what did they say? It's like the best time to build an audience is 20 years ago.
yeah,
The second best time is now.
boom.
Dumb entrepreneur quotes.
Yeah.
There's no end to them.
You know what I always think about? I always think about the show Futurama. I think about
that
this.
show.
I think about the show a lot.
It's a good show.
And you know, the whole premise for those of you who have never seen Futurama is it's an animated show. The main character, who I think is the main character, there's probably multiple main characters, but Fry would be probably the main.
Fry's for sure the main character.
It's year 2000, falls into a cryo chamber, wakes up year 3000, right? Misses 1,000 years.
Yep.
And there is a episode where he goes to the bank and no one touched his bank account for 1,000 years. And like the compound interest, like he was like a billionaire.
I see.
And I always thought about that. I was like, if I had a time machine, I wouldn't want to worry about like the butterfly effect. I wouldn't want to do anything. I would just like take
Invest.
now money, buy a ton of gold, put it in my name, and then just like come back, and then
let
I'd
it-
be rich.
Appreciate it, yeah.
It's like the faster version of the almanac
Right.
from Back
The
to the Future.
sports betting thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't like. I feel like there's too much danger with the whole like like going and like killing Hitler or something like that. You know, the hot button issues, right?
Right.
Yeah, I probably still would kill Hitler, but there's
Too many variables you can't
Yeah.
control.
I'm a very meek person. I like to stay under the radar, so I would just go
Right.
in there and
Like,
I
I
would
just want to be wealthy. I don't want
Yeah.
to make anyone's lives better.
well then I would use the wealth in my time that wouldn't have a butterfly effect
No, whatever.
in order to
You
make
have a
people's
time
lives-
machine. You have a limited time.
That's
You have a machine that makes time.
Does it make time?
It makes you a different place in time.
That'd be crazy if that was the theory around time machines. It's
creates
not that,
more time.
Yeah, it just creates more time.
Interesting.
I've always wondered, like, what if a time machine just transport you to a different timeline? So it transports you over and back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Low-key.
So what you're doing is you're going back in time and you're fixing problems,
TVA.
but you're not actually fixing the problem for your timeline. So all the people that you knew and all the people that you love aren't actually benefiting from the work that you're doing.
But on the other timeline, they are.
On the timeline you are, but you don't know those people.
Yeah. Well, it still comes down to the subjectivity of the master timeline. Because
That's
even
true.
Marvel, like,
Yeah.
this is basically the whole Loki series that we're explaining.
Yeah.
But there is this weird obsession with multiverse and this whole idea. I think Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie, is really going to lean into that. It's really interesting to see. But yeah, it always has to be rooted in one central
Yeah.
timeline, whether that's explicit, like in the case of Loki and the TVA. And it's like, this is the master timeline, the sacred timeline is what they call it. Or like in Spider-Verse, which is a little different, multiverse instead of timelines. But they don't really explicitly say that like Miles Morales' timeline is the gospel timeline or the sacred timeline, but it's just the one that we have as viewers. So we're
Yeah.
familiar with that. We watch his origin story and we kind of watch him become Spider-Man, and then all these other multiverse Spider-Mans
Wait.
and womans and all this stuff come in.
Is the new Spider-Man's name Miles Morales, not Peter Parker?
And Into the Spider-Verse,
Yeah. His
the
name's-
one that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's Miles Morales.
Oh, it is.
Mhm.
I just assumed it was Peter Pan.
It's not Peter Pan.
Peter. Yeah. I can't even think of it now.
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker. There it is.
So that I
The
think
alliteration, I got
I'm
mixed up.
pretty sure that. And one of the things they do in the multiverse, and the Spideyverse, whatever they're calling it, is Peter Parker comes into Miles Morales' timeline or multiverse, but he's older. He's like kind of washed up. Retired,
Oh.
kind of cynical.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
So the younger Miles Morales kind of instills a little bit of youthful zeal in the old kind of jaded Spider-Man, Peter Parker, I believe.
Why is Spider-Man so obsessed with alliteration? I feel like there's so much alliteration going on.
What do you mean?
Peter Pan, Miles Morales.
It's not Peter Pan.
Sorry, Peter Parker. I'm gonna keep saying that.
Why are you so obsessed with Peter Pan?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to figure
Well, I'm
out.
getting mixed up in the alliteration.
Yeah.
There's the double P.
They
the
both
double M.
They both wear costumes. They both fly around, sort of. They're both catered towards children. You might be onto something here.
I don't know. Who
New
knows?
theory. You heard it here first in the
Yeah.
original podcast.
That's-
Peter Pan is Peter Parker in a different universe.
In a different Spideyverse.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I was like, so there's an interesting thing going on in our business, kind of a multiverse, if you will.
Okay.
Not really.
Which I
was trying to tie it in.
I'm really
There's-
tuning into
there-
this
there-
segue right
yeah.
now.
There's no,
Wow,
there's
you
no,
gonna
there's no,
pivot.
there's no segue here. But one of the interesting things about an e-commerce business and being young, both of us in our entrepreneurial journey, as well as the actual business itself is very young, is that it can change really fast. Like, and it will look almost like on the outside, it might look very similar, but on the inside, it looks completely different.
Yeah.
And the thing I've been wanting to kind of hear your off the cuff thoughts. I don't tell Nick any of these questions beforehand, by the way.
I know this is, by the way, this is kind of how what the podcast has turned into is you just
asking.
interviewing me, I guess.
Yeah, I love it.
Which if you like it, I'm fine with it, I guess.
I love
I just feel
interviewing people.
bad. I feel like I should prepare more or something.
No, I love it. I love off the cuff. I like the unadulterated thoughts.
Well, we had 3 downloads last week,
So it's big
someone
time.
else is liking it too.
It's true.
So I downloaded it, you downloaded it,
Yeah.
and
Bert.
I guess Bert downloaded
Yeah.
it. So
We did it.
anyway, this is for Bert.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So from a marketing standpoint,
Yeah.
we are almost completely rethinking how we approach our mission, right? So our mission is to help people become the hero of their lives.
Yes.
And we have to almost rethink everything around what it means to get someone to accept that as something they want for their life, right? That's kind of our sales pitch. Is like, how do we get someone to think about themselves as the hero? How do I get someone to buy into that?
Sort
and-
of, yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I think that in my head, if you were to break it down to the most philosophical baseline, it's like, if our mission is to help people become the hero of their life,
Yeah.
people have to do the work, so they have to buy into the idea that they are the hero. So we're almost selling that to them.
Right. The mission's staying the same.
Yeah,
Methods are changing.
exactly.
How do we get them to the thing? But the thing is always going to be the thing, which is
Yeah.
why we started the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still the thing. The main thing is the main thing, but how do you get to the thing? Changing.
So here's my question for you. And this is the question. So do you think that being small like we are, there is a like exponential return on gritty, creative, like almost like not marketing stunts, but like kind of off the beaten path of marketing, like doing things that no one's done before in a way that no one's done it?
Of course.
Do you think there's an exponential return on that versus doing like the traditional, the super traditional of like social advertising, content, middle of funnel, bottom retarget? Like, do you find that we actually have a more exponential return on because we're so like bootstrapped?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing for young companies to try something crazy. The first thing that came to my mind is it was a company called Me Undies. They sell underwear. back when I think there's some NFL player. Maybe you can help me with this.
Marshawn Lynch.
No, I mean yes, but not yet. There's an earlier example of an NFL player stealing underwear from like a department store.
Oh, I don't know this one.
And I believe it was like a year or two before that. And it was very bizarre because, you know, it's an NFL player. He has money to pay for underwear, but he was stealing. And it was kind of like just a very buzzy article because it's so weird, so kind of bizarre. They stepped in to pay his settlement or like his legal fees for the department store. So it was like I don't know, a couple $1,000s, but they got all this free press out of it because they stepped in and they're like, oh yeah, we'll cover the underwear related, you know, crime, and we'll like give them underwear for free. And I think he became a brand ambassador for them, which is really smart. So it's a great example of a way to get into the zeitgeist for a lower cost. It's like hopping the proverbial fence as opposed to paying admission. Another MeUndies story is the Marshawn Lynch thing, where I think he jumped up and like grabbed his crotch and got fined like $25,000 during like a playoff game or maybe even the Super Bowl game, and they paid his which is basically a way for them as an advertiser to get into the Super Bowl advertising zeitgeist, using that word twice for some reason.
Love it.
For way cheaper. I also think of the Nike thing.
Yeah.
Instead of like, what was it was Reebok who paid thousands and thousands of dollars to sponsor the Olympics back in whatever.
I think it was 1984. I think this
80s.
was the LA Olympics.
Yeah.
Or was it in Georgia?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Anyway, instead of paying tons of money, what they did is they bought all the billboard space around the arenas, around the event space. And so all the athletes and all the fans that are walking to these arenas, they see Nike ads everywhere. What are you going to, who do you think sponsored the thing?
Yeah.
The crowds don't know.
Yeah.
So,
it's like the official sponsor versus the people's sponsor. You know what I mean?
yeah. So would I call that a stunt? Like, not really. I think that's just smarter, leaner, scrappier advertising. Another product idea that comes to mind, maybe a smaller company, is I read the founder of Kind, Daniel Lubowski. I don't know. I forgot his last name, but founder of Kind bars, with the transparent packaging and stuff, you can see the nuts and stuff in them. I read his book, and when he was young with another company that did they did like Mediterranean spreads and Middle Eastern type spices and stuff. They were I think they were in New York, and there was some big event. I think it was like Fashion Week or some big New York, buzz thing. And they rented a camel, and they had a guy and they hired two actors, and they rode the camel through this giant event with I think it was a parade, maybe it was a Macy's Day parade or something. Anyway, they pulled some crazy stunt, and it totally paid off. They got on the news. They were got tons of buzz. And so, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, yes, young scrappy companies can afford for a stunt like that to totally fail because they don't have a name yet.
Yeah.
And so as long as you do it in a smart way, you don't really have a reputation quite yet that is big enough for you to damage. That's why if Coke did something like that or Pepsi did something like that, it's a much riskier venture for them. And if it pays off, respect. But if it doesn't, that's gonna hurt.
They have more to lose. Yeah,
they have more to lose. I will say brands. It's actually funny because whether it's just I think what it is actually is I think the origin of this phenomenon is it's happened in celebrities. So celebrities in the 90s, right, were these untouchable giant people. You could only see them on your TV. With the emergence of smartphones, globalization, getting closer to famous people, and the fact that there is more famous people who can exist in these micro communities, it's kind of brought this elevated fame down to a human level. You can DM, LeBron James. He probably won't message back, but you can do that. And there's probably, more, C, D type celebrities that you could respond, you could DM them and they could truly say something back to you in real time, which is pretty amazing. The same thing is happening, I think, now with these big brands, with these big companies where they're coming down to earth a little bit. And so I will say, I think big companies are more resilient than they think they are. I think that they're brands that they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars to make, billions probably, and have maybe some of them have 50 plus years of heritage behind them. I think that they're more resilient than they give themselves credit for. I was telling you about that TikTok thing.
Yeah.
Where some guy who worked at Target filmed a video, and he was there's like a Walmart shopping cart in their like parking lot, and he was like, Walmart, we have your shopping cart, like we're holding it hostage. And like Walmart, the brand Walmart commented on that, and they're like Liam Neeson voice, and it was like, we have a very particular set of skills or something like that. It was like, if you return the cart, no one will get hurt.
Yeah.
And then like I think, and then Walgreens chimed in, like the Walgreens official TikTok chimed in there, and they like had a like emoji of a popcorn. They're like, I can't wait to see how this plays out. Like,
Yeah.
and like it's like a meme culture, but you have these huge heritage brands coming down to like the most almost like adolescent level, just to like speak to people. Anyway, that was a way huge tangent you didn't want, but
I'm here for it.
anyway.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So now this is the best part to put you on the spot. How are we going to do that?
So I guess it isn't as maybe exciting. My first thought when you asked it was probably TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Probably TikTok, just because that's where all the eyeballs are. Like that's all that these stunts really. That's what you have to think about. It's like, where are the eyeballs going to be? And people right now, for better or for worse, like marketers, companies, we don't get to control this, but like, even though people are addicted to their phones, they're addicted to their phones, and that's where their eyes are at right now. And a lot of that time right now is being spent in TikTok. It's massive. I don't know the numbers. I don't know what the numbers are on TikTok, but like, there's so many people consuming content on TikTok that even if it's not your niche audience, right? Because I think TikTok, the association is like, oh, that's for kids. It doesn't matter. There's so many just people on it that there's probably more of your target demographic on TikTok than on any other platform that they are supposed to be on. So being on TikTok is kind of essential for us right now. And yeah, I think just making content there. I think you don't really have to worry about building a following either. Because I don't think there's much of at least for a brand that I can think of, I don't know how much loyalty there is on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because from a user perspective, you don't garner a feed really.
Yeah.
No one spends time on the follow, like who do I follow page really.
Yeah.
What is it? 90% of TikTok is on the For You page.
And the other interesting part about TikTok is I don't think anyone cares about ratios on TikTok. Like you can follow 10,000 people and have 0 followers and post 0 times, and no one's gonna like make fun of you for your like post.
Yeah.
But if you did that on Twitter, it'd be like you're like a weirdo,
Right.
You know what I mean? Yep. It's like
exactly. Yeah. It's the newest social media that's taking off. It's so much more. There's so many more consumers on it than there are makers. And because you aren't curating your own feed of things that you want to see, TikTok has permission to just show you whatever they want, whatever they want.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how cringy or uncomfortable or inspiring or tragic or funny it is. They're just going to throw it at you. So it almost is like this weird marketplace of those moments that we're talking about.
Yeah.
These like crazy moments that people have voted to put to the top of the pile by watching or liking or sharing or commenting or whatever.
It's like that one. It's like that Fleetwood Mac song. Mm-hmm. Like it got like a whole new second life. Yeah. Just because one guy was drinking cranberry juice and riding a skateboard. It was actually really
I'm endlessly fascinated by songs, brands, products that get these like insane second lives, like years after. It's so interesting to me. Like there was this video, like about Twisted Tea, you know, the drink. Yeah. It was very weird, but it was a video in like a gas station, and some guy, I think he was like drunk, and he was like yelling at another guy. And the guy had a Twisted Tea in his hand because he was like waiting in line to pay. And this guy was drunk, yelling at the cash register. He turned to this other guy and he was like, oh, what, are you going to hit me? And he like flipped the Twisted Tea in his hand and hit him in the face with it. Which is very brutal, right? Yeah. But that like went viral. And then all these memes about like Twisted Tea being like the hardest thing in the universe like just exploded. And like, you know, Twisted Tea corporate, whoever they are, probably has no idea this is going on. But it's like some of the best, you know, attention you could ask for. It's like it's probably more eyeballs on that brand than there ever has been ever. And I am assuming that it sort of affected their sales in some way.
Know who I am the most impressed by? And I've only ever experienced the product. So I don't want to give it away. So I'm using the word experience instead of like, is Liquid Death. Oh yeah. I'm so impressed by their ability to be on the table of every single podcast that I see. Yep. I don't know how they did it. Yep. Like they're in the background of like Cody Ko's videos. They're on Theo Von's table. Yep. They're like, they're everywhere. Yeah. And I feel like it happened overnight. Yep. and it's water.
Mm-hmm.
The total addressable market's like 2 trillion or something.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I bought this hat.
Yeah.
For those watching, Liquid Death hat. And yeah, they sell water. They sell water and sparkling water in like tall boy cans that look like malt liquor or beer or something like that. Not malt liquor, but beer.
They're really cool. The water's okay.
Yeah, it's not great. That's the funniest part about this like D2C thing is like it's just such good marketing.
Yeah.
That and like stay with me here, but like what you're paying for is the marketing. You're not paying for the product. Like it's almost like we're in this weird inverse right now where it's almost like maybe just humans are so inundated with marketing that we become like connoisseurs or like critics of it. And when it's really good or unique or disruptive, it's kind of like it's like a critic who's seen thousands of movies and they're like, all right, this one, like you earn my attention, you get my badge of approval. It's very weird. It's not, it doesn't really matter how good the movie is in this case, but just the fact that it's different or weird or interesting. I feel like that's the case with Liquid Death.
Yeah.
know?
Well, I've been so we are, for those of you who don't know, I think we can officially announce this, but we're like redoing the aesthetic of our box. Mm-hmm. We're trying to kind of bring that branding and that experience of seeing this thing and holding it up like a new level, up a different kind of echelon.
Yeah.
And since we started that project about 2 months ago, I've been, whenever I'm at the store and I'm purchasing like a random one-off item, and I know kind of what I want, but I'm not necessarily like, I don't want a Jones soda. I want a soda, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll just go to the section of the store and I'll look at whatever packaging of the type of thing that I want, and whichever one I like the best, I buy that one. So I don't even care about the taste.
Why do you do that?
Because I'm trying to get into the mindset of somebody who is buying things based off the way that it immediately makes them feel.
Yeah.
Like I remember being 8 years old holding like a pack of Pokemon cards. And I was like, everything about it. It was the Pokemon on the front. It was like the blue back with the Pokeballs, the way they smelled. It was like, it was very little about the utility of them. I don't know where any of them are, but they're probably worth trillions of dollars now apparently. But, it was like, I'm trying to like get in the mindset of somebody who is like so excited to have this thing in their hands.
Yeah.
And what is the value there? What is the thing that you're getting with that transaction?
Yeah.
It's like, I believe our product does a ton of good. I think it does a ton of good in someone's life if they actually use it. But I think that we have to meet people. We have to meet people with our marketing and convince them that it'll do that good in their life. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It does. I mean, and so that's what I mean by the whole, like your marketing is more important than your product because your marketing is not your product, which is a weird way to think about it. But like, and what I will say is we've worked our asses off to make the product itself really good.
Yeah.
I'm not naming any names. We're in the D2C space and I've dabbled in a lot of D2C products. They're not very good. Their marketing's super good and their footprint is really wide, but like what they have to offer isn't head and shoulders above anything else. I think what we're making is truly like unique and exciting. And it might not work for everyone, but I will say I've never heard anyone open it up and say this is poorly made.
Yeah.
I've only heard people open it up and say, I want more of this. I wish that there was more of this or whatever, with like the different daily pages and changing and stuff. So I think you're right. We have two battles to fight, more than that. But I mean, two big battles to fight are your marketing and creating the best customer experience. Not just from a lot of people, you know, when I say customer experience, you think that means you have to be a customer, like you bought something. It's not true. Like from the moment you are introduced to our brand, that's like the front door. And then like, you know, maybe you buy our product and that's you coming into the apartment or whatever in this metaphor. And then as you kind of move through the apartment, there's pieces that kind of enthrall you and delight you. Maybe it's a helping hand for how to use the product. Maybe it's the unboxing experience, whatever it is. But that entire journey needs to be like perfect. That's direct to consumer. Cause you can, for the first time, right. And maybe not for the first time. It's D2C's been around for a little bit, but you can actually control that. It used to be up to Toys R Us or Walmart or retailers to control that experience for you, and so you had less handle on what the actual experience was like. So anyway, it's funny because it's not about who has the best product. It's about who can market it the best and give the best customer experience.
Yeah,
you know.
I have a question for you, and it's based off what you just said. That was really well said, by the way.
Thanks.
Great stuff.
More, what did I say at the beginning? More stupid entrepreneur quotes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
This is the question. This is like, I try to have like a question for the comments. People rarely answer them, but I want to have at least one question for the comments. So if you're out there and you're listening and you want to answer a question, here it is. What is the $0 value add of the Heroes Journal? You pay $0, but we give you X. And what's the value add? You know what I mean? So it's like,
What's the free thing?
right, what is the, you see us on TikTok, you see us on Facebook, you see us on YouTube, you see us wherever you see us. Your friend tells you about us, and you go to our website. What is the $0 value add that the Heroes Journal provides?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
What do I think it is?
Yeah.
Probably our content and our community. I said that in reverse order. I think our community is probably the biggest. We have a really, really great Facebook group. You know, Facebook isn't for everyone, and Facebook groups are probably for less people. But for those that that platform and that community style works for, I've seen it work really, really well. We have great moderators there. We spend a lot of time live streaming to that group of people. And so I would say just doing that for free, we would probably see in a lot of other communities there'd be a paywall there. So I think there's some value there. We also make content. We don't have a huge following, but like I do think we put a lot of effort into our content. And even though content is sort of taken for granted, and maybe not taken for granted, but it's just kind of expected if you're a consumer. Like I'm always checking if what does a brand's Instagram look like? What does their TikTok look like? What does their YouTube look like? Because it tells me a lot about their personality and who they are. And if they're upkeeping those different channels with new content and their marketing's good, then I'm like, this is a living brand, and it's a company going somewhere, and I want to support them with my wallet. So I think that we do an okay job at the content piece. We could probably turn it up a little bit as the team grows and we get a little more bandwidth. But for now, I think our bread and butter, the value add, is probably the community.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My answer comes a little bit of a story. So it's not a long story. It's a very short story, actually. Me explaining how long the story is actually longer than the story. I was talking to Anthony the other day. Anthony's my childhood best friend, and also used to work here. Packed thousands of journals for us, and is incredible.
Yeah.
But I was talking to him, and he said this. He said, the reason why, like, I remember my grandma so fondly, and he loved her for a lot of reasons, but this was one of the things that he truly, truly loved about her, is that he could say anything to her, and she would say, okay. He would be like, I'm going to be an astronaut. She'd be like, all right. He'd say, I'm going to be in the NFL. She's like, cool. Right.
Yeah.
It was very like, it wasn't like, it was very calm and kind, and like, it wasn't like you were for sure going to do that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't also like, you're not going to do, there's no way.
Yeah.
I think that with a journal product and with our brand, I think the thing that we give people is we give people a safe place to believe in themselves, not believe how easy it's going to be, not believe that it's going to be 100% successful. It's none of those things. We're not going to like gaslight people, but what we say is I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Let's try. Right. And then if you choose to support that idea with your wallet, then we will come with you with the actual product. But I think that the way we make content, the way that we approach the world is very much okay, let's see how we can get, let's do it.
Yeah.
Which I think that is a extremely underrated message in a lot of our media. It's either like hyper, like you could do anything, like nothing is impossible. It's either that far extreme, which is like almost in and of itself bad, because when it starts to get hard, you're like, well, I was supposed to be able to do this. Now I can't, right? So now it's almost worse. And then obviously there's the flip side of it, is like, you can't do this because you're not this, or that.
Right.
I think we're right there in the middle. We're the kind wizard that smiles at you and says, let's figure out how to do it. Let's work together.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's cool. But yeah, if you're out there watching or you're listening, and if you're listening to us on a podcast, on like one of the podcast networks, you can go ahead, like, I don't know, email us. I don't know. I want to hear the answer to this.
Oh, did the answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the $0 paid value add?
Yeah.
for the Heroes Journal.
There's a marketer. I can't remember his name. I want to say Seth something Godin, maybe. It may be Seth Godin. He has a saying like it's more for authors. We talked about this before, but it's basically like the way the internet works today. I think they call our generation the information, or maybe just the information age.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says if you give away the key points of your book and maybe even the whole book for free online as like an ebook, or even just in the form of blog posts and short thoughts here and there, people will buy your book
As a souvenir.
People will buy your physical book as a souvenir. Like that's the word.
Yeah.
Souvenir. It's really interesting. Like souvenir shopping. And honestly, that idea has been so strong since I heard it that I feel like that's probably going to be the next thing we do with the journal. I think that if we really believe in what we say, the next logical step is to eliminate as many barriers as we can to people having the journal.
Yeah.
And I think and in my opinion, which I might be a little extreme, is just giving it away for free. The PDF, not the whole thing, but just basically like, hey, if you're on our website, there's going to be a pop-up that asks if you want the journal for free, and you can download it. And you're probably not going to use it. You know, there's like a low chance that you'll actually fill it out for 90 days. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Low chance, high effort. And if you wanted to pirate it and print it out and resell it, even lower chance, even higher effort. And I'm not really worried about that. You're still helping us market.
Yeah.
Really what it's going to be, and I hope what's going to work here, is that you get to see the thorough look inside the journal, check every nook and cranny, make sure it's a really good product, because it is, and then you'll buy it as a souvenir.
Yeah. I think we're going to start with the first act, right? Maybe we'll do the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we're debating between the first act and the whole journal. The only reason I'm against doing the whole journal right now is because people are currently spending $20 for that. Something that we would just start giving away for free. I think that we could rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah. My other thought is a lot of times people don't actually want the ending for free. People we'll be at the con, we'll be like flipping around, and people are like, don't show me the ending.
That's true. Yeah,
so
there's the spoiler part. Yeah.
You don't want to like cheapen the end result. So
right.
That's possible.
That's a good point.
But yeah, so that's episode 20. We did it.
We did it.
We talked for 30 minutes. Nice. Thank you all so much for kind of following us along on our journey, whether you've been here for 30 minutes now or you've been with us since the beginning. It means a ton to us, and we really mean it. We really mean that we are super invested in all of your like quests and journeys and stories. So if there's any way that we've impacted you positively or negatively, like let us know. Like you let us know in the comments, or you can send us an email, because those interactions mean a ton to us. So
yeah, thank you guys.
And if you want more of this kind of content, go ahead and like this video so that we can show up on other people's feeds. You can subscribe to us because we do this once a week, and you can follow us on other platforms and so on. But
yeah,
until next time.
Thank you guys.